Yeah, thank you so very much, Comfort. This is another learning process. I think I've learned a lot. I am not sure there is anyone here who have not learned one thing today. And see, I have just to call my uncle back in Binka. I'm privileged to come from Binka. I'm sorry, it's not a publicity. To let him know that all the Sha and whatever, nobody, in fact, we have to start putting them into bottles now, and of course, the next brand will be Kila Shakila. So that's what we're gonna have. In the meantime, we've had a lot and we've actually learned a lot from our august speakers. They're just amazing. So at this time, I'll call on one of our Mbum artists just to give us some little relaxed sound, which we all love very much. And this is, I'm talking under the command of Wanja Walters, but I'll be calling on Divine Favour if she's ready. One of the songs we love so much, they call it Kongni. If not of Kongni, we will not be here. So we have Divine Favour in a couple of seconds. Over to you, Divine Favour. Yeah, I think they're just preparing because they're set already. We have Prince Wanja. He's in charge of that. So over to you, Prince Wanja and the team.
Okay.
Greetings to all my fathers and mothers in the house. This is Divine Favour talking. So I'm happy to be among you people, among great people this evening, and it is a privilege. So I'm a mumalo, mumakulunga, mamdeme bukumbum, potenti, angongbomi. So me run for we, so kongni since yatam manane yatayo rayu se kongni ara yang weji yo kongni swaku yo beramienganga majority. So Michelle Tuba you mo goralaka. Une em do kontombi ka ene you ba after class iniga daily.
Okay.
Oh, may I si bigi si keruba. May you call in Mbumo, Woman Sume Kuto. May you call Nicolai. May you call in Isio, si bigi si keruba. Omtole muna bawe, wabangwe chifakia, si bigi si keruba. Obangwe chifakia, bangwe chikokea. Amunjake we bangwe o. Amunjake we bamea, we fedim gome, mwaji bamfurjio, wa bamfuri wa tete kenge, wa bamfuri wa fadu kuyo, kwili nyamsi fonga, ngoma chiwe yene, si yuba chanjia, longo ngatero, taboki dumivue. me welcome Marulo. Me welcome Marulo. I'm feeling me what ya me why oh man, feeling right down me. Oh man, feeling right down me. Yeah, me so me get a yabi. I went with the Popilo. Hey, what you want to that? Oh, your leg. Oh, we more your leg. We kiss in your mind. We kiss in your time. Oh, we don't do it like the way. Oh, we don't do it like the way. We never do pussy like this. Oh, I love it. I bet what the fool hey, I'm funny, you tiny below. Hey, I'm sitting here on fire. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling so bad. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling so bad. Oh, but I'm not going to see you. Hey, I'm feeling so bad. Hey, one more. I do. Oh, we got to run out of the way. We need to go to when I did, I used to go. Oh, you were wasting the go. What do you see some music? What? You know what they are. Hey, what did you forget? Hey, Mama, see me put you up. It is so many they are. Oh, we all in there. Hey, come for our way. When we were in the morning, can't believe what they have before. Rule of Colin, what they have before. In Colin, what the fuck I did. Oh, it's just a boy. I did. There was what I read about when she young, she like that. How would you do it? All the number of Mubalo, into you, Mukulah, Agaba, Putio, Papa, you see me, oh, I'm way to Bakia, oh, I'm way to Bakia, oh, what's my God about see what I'm saying to my spirit. Anyway,
Yeah, we want to thank, please give them a hand of applause, please. A hand of applause. That was Divine Favour. And I think that we who are on this forum, we want to promote our own people, our own children, our sons, our daughters. I remember when I was speaking with Mukulah Europe sometime about 3 years ago, I was talking with actually with one of the presidents. I think that was Kwatla Diodone. I'm sure it's Mukulah UK also. It's like,
UK.
fine, we have to invite these our talents in Europe, in the US, in Canada. I'm talking now under the command of Mukulah Canada chairperson who is watching right now. And Nangwai, these are the people we need to invite during our cultural week. I will just show you another one of our great songs. I want to profit to say happy birthday to Mukulah, and we present to you Mukulah right away. Mukulah, over to you.
Chani Mbum wesi yoni talking ba me Cameroon. Okay, Kemene Mukulah MKL. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is my second time to perform here, and I'm very grateful. I appreciate. Thank you, elders, my parents. I'm very happy to perform in front of you this afternoon. What I'm going to give you is a historic song called German from Mbum. I know some of you dance German, the real German from the creators. But me, I'm just a representative that I'm holding the flag of German, and I'm trying to bring it to limelight. So thank you so much. I will not talk so much. I'm from Mabi, and we can simply call it Mabi German because that is where they created German. So I represent German this afternoon. Very God, very God.
Wow. A hand of applause to our great artists, musicians. And I just want to say, if anyone, because we are here to promote them, if anyone thinks they want to reach out to these artists, you can reach out to me and I will humbly reach out to them. It's no publicity, please. I'm just looking at the fact that we have great people. We need to encourage them. We need to promote what they are doing. And it is in this direction that I will crave for your indulgence to talk about one or two of our great promoters of music in the Mbum land. So just give me 1 second, please. All right, so as you can see, we're just talking about Prince Wanja Walters, whom you can see here. This is someone has contributed in an outstanding manner in the development and the promotion of the Mbum culture and music. That is why we in this forum, we in this on this platform are encouraging him by, providing to him this certificate, this award, to tell him to go ahead with what he's doing. He's called the ambassador Prince Walters, Prince Wanja Walters, the ambassador of Mbum artists. Again, we are honored to recognize you, to recognize what you're doing. Kudos to Prince Walters. Another person who we want to recognize is called ABK Production. Abubakar K is one of the outstanding persons, managers, music producers from the Mbum land, which the platform would like to recognize as well. We're going to send them this certificate electronically. But again, we want to say thank you so much for what you're doing in the area of music and culture within the Mbum land. And we wish you all the best. You have our support, and we just thank you for coming to demonstrate what you can do best. Thank you so much. Again, we will be getting into a different session right now after the brilliant presentation from our speakers. And after this musical interlude, back to Comfort to proceed with the question and answer session. Thank you so much.
So, very, thank you so much, dear brothers and sisters from back home. Keep on doing what you are doing. That's what makes us different, like someone just said in the comment section. I just want to use this opportunity, not as advert, like Uncle P says, just an appeal on behalf of our brothers and sisters here in the house, the artists. I think that each and every one of them has got either a YouTube channel or Facebook social media platform where they put themselves out there. So we afford one of us here, we can just find time, watch what they do, and then subscribe to their channel, drop a comment, give them some thumbs up. It goes a long way. So every little bit of support takes it to the next level. So let's remember them. Don't just go there and subscribe, but just have a watch for at least 2 minutes. Then subscribe to that channel, drop a comment of encouragement, and why not share? Thank you. I just think that if we do this, it's the beginning of support, and it goes a long way as still. So
yes,
thank
just
you.
before you continue, I think Mangiri had 1 or 2 things to say after the performance and after this presentation. Mangiri, over to you. I think you are the co-host as well, so Mangiri is equally a co-host.
All right, that's good. All right, Betty, see, so we have a meeting with them, but because you know. Mekwani the whole morning, starting from the presenters to our artists and everything. You know, I think we continue to set the bar higher and higher and higher. And I just wanted to make a few reflections on the 3 presenters before we move on to our artists and then to the Q&A. Mekwani, when Dr. Ngwanyam started talking, Mila Zimbum Jomo Mabala commenting Mito Tala Mumbang Dina to translate Zimbum so that they was in Mukulah all you Mekwani Dr. Ngwanyam hits on the head say any usually it can visit Tawofa from Super Akele and Mekwani Mayu Abala serve in the prelude in a Amlochumo Ebani Bio Binjo de Shinimuku Shinikwa. Then me find a poll tax and good Lambang. Then all the farm ban in Bang Road, the poll tax and yet classify qua omkune are food crops, then classify coffee, sang or tea or something in their cash crops. Then Bang Rola ne akufaya ba cash crops. Any binja offered in food crops, but in the end, those food crops were the ones that were generating mbana so Mekwani she answer question Mayu Abala Mbangro Chukulasi in any of our despite the fact that tomatoes okay we also Venezuela Mekwani si atoa kwa Zambozana and akabane we total o yo njimo oshamba mesi chukula agibona kasi atoa sungo wini the whole notion and in Suafa, beans are food crops now. You lay out the window, and what do they fa that's symbol you say. Then Dr. Wanyabula and mechanical farming, I think that is the word. I don't remember any kind of you tractors. So me good reflected Prof Abalani never Emma sub me mango we do before I got the name tava you very easily. Most of them sue you on slopes. So how can we overcome that geographic or topographical challenges? She not having a tractor. He supposed that allow you most who reflect on it. And then do me use Professor Angela Abala make me yeni kubumagon karim duka. Okay, even the daily impact of climate change it manifests in and the fact all of those things and the type of soil she need gives you more some of what and tumbo we must will find the big we are do twins. Okay, we offer different types of crops either because of the types of sources actually in those places. So yeah, but an eye opener. And then the whole notion of second crop farming. Mbuyuba kene sisi keep quiet me March, me June, July, August, depending on the issue. Kuwansi mkuoshu se ne you more kadisi siana around July, August. Sini tesi bo harvest buana asa nifisi dresses na keava kadisi consider buana and you see Mbum siki kwane akatechur kwaka olani njia kubi bani sibiye inya njeke si mku mtu we abjite sibo even use more for kwa processing. I'm a professor in China, doctor in China, but la tesibo produce book at this market basically ji order bjite kwa bo bingire cash crops ikadisi processing shouldn't. And then moving on, make any again. You see, Professor Chaga, give me that. You such an eye opener. I got but the picture about Lambo Kwana, you mentioned yatu. Njo si keep kwa kumasa the mkungone kwa igvetiamfu. Besi ye ni sinini kadi si the different parts of Kwana kadi ogiya zije. Even afar with the agriculture, all of cheese kwa go leza feed. Shobo nyang nao minelu shimjemi yuka. Kadisi gike aga hanezana tesi both for magorini mukwale and meyeza as a real progression. Kuta yongse ba kila tampo again and because these speakers there's a thread that runs through, right? In isita convert farming teba something that everybody does and move it away from just a food crop to cash, and then see to the impact of environment, and then how do we move from just those raw materials and process it to add value. And Professor Shadabala, very well, we need what gets into that process in order to get the processed food and the added value product out. So care from the beginning. Everybody can way. I try about involved in farming. So I try to buzikadisi course. Sibani only kwaba mkuka. So I try to process so that we should never a raw product to be more add value. And then to top it up, how do we get these processes started? See, I'm sure cooperatives, I'm sure on the local council for coffee. Kadisi create some cooperatives to start. Tesi woye ni kadisi say add value anale. Kadisi involves a council. For me, sitting and listening, Anje Buana Siba do through my mind about some of the challenges you identify already. So are there immediate solutions to all of them? How do we start implementing those solutions? So me ko anime young we basi kabambo the artism na we abayamo maybe my expression says it all. Maybe koni all the time, maybe in German all the time. Bizoni no ki yobi mchunim sika. I'm a party animal. So bear we see me young we say we are grace this occasion now. Okay, kabawaban mi masas in ya co-host initiate the Q&A. Bear we.
All right, Uncle P, is it me or you now?
It's you.
Sorry, my co-moderator.
Go with that. It's
Wrong
you.
word.
You want to be
very well. Thank you. So, Young Chuasi Mangiri, where this everything is just moving in such a way that I feel like so blessed being here. So this is the beginning of something that has to go a long way. So me kura launch na mo Mangiri ala and the limbo na you very necessary. So I told you the system. Me na chika bane bi me na mabe Sister Vera. I told platform okay ne. Uncle P, bear with me. I'm not here to use this platform for adverts, but if there's the need, we want to do that. So Vera, remember, to the platform, Facebook and Mbum slot. Nkwaneka pick on this. Whatever nuggets she gets from here and then goes after whoever, any of our people, our big brothers in the house. I need this information. Table Mukulah and Mbum. So we need to do it over and over and over, but we don't know how many of our parents will be here or watch this on YouTube. But it's easier to get it on Facebook, and we already have a platform. So watch out, just check on Mbum slot or Vera Mimba Thankful on Facebook. Just hit a like and follow that platform. Give proposals to her, even on Facebook Messenger, say, let's discuss this in Mbum, and we make sure she takes it out there. So it's a team effort, and I think as a family, we can get this done. So on this note, we are seeing 2 hands raised. I would just like to attend to them first, hoping that they either have a question or a contribution to make. And I'll just go as I see them on my screen. And so I would let our big brother again in the house, time for Minji Manjong to unmute himself and speak. Welcome, Pa. I've asked you to unmute.
Make when you go by the host, the host the permission on
No, I've just asked him to unmute and he's unmuted.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm still adopting. That's all right. Yeah, I don't have that much of a question than an observation. Usually, yeah, I appreciate what the speakers have done. It was marvelous. The three speakers, they did great. Yeah, so Dr. Ngwanya, like you did great, because you always. Sorry, Minaga. You people have done great. And then may appreciate Minane, Professor Njilayu, then Madam Alice Ndikontaraba, yeah, Mrs. Alice Ndikontaraba, she mering Minashi, yuna ayi mwe farmsu mwe agriculture, she yene adunjero akuti, then ashe fa akula. So may you glad opportunity na shimetre. So you mentioned mero observe yune yes saka shi si you aona asaka shine siaba paago ngeni mo bishine aja visi maba visi takula duku saka pa msu. Yes, sialamina ambo magor ambo mbangro. So mero observe mene kabane si kongat gite mbangro. Kan jip saka ha adi si dubam girka adi si duban imchepka. Yeah, so you can get them to get involved, but you can't shame them to get involved, because that will be counterproductive. We can learn from how they got involved even in the coffee. This coffee thing that we're talking is not something that was a Mbum cash crop from time immemorial. No, this thing came in my lifetime. I remember growing up in Tala that only one family from Tumo that was in Tala was growing coffee as a flower, before it eventually became a cash crop that everybody was growing. And then presently, I think the men have given up on it for whatever reasons that is. So we can always get men to get involved, either in something new or maybe in something of old. Then the other thing that I wanted to observe is that we need to realize that as Mbum people, maybe because of our attitude to change, we are very, very limiting to our food choices. When I was growing up, we had a lot of food options, and a good number of them have disappeared. I don't know if the agriculturists here or out there think that they disappeared because of the issue of climate change or the issue of climate something, soil variability or soil whatever. I don't know if that's the reason. For example, when I was growing up, there was a major yam that was being produced. And it is that yam that I'm given to think that some people mistake the sweet yams with the sweet yam, which most people say mba yam, is actually from the name of that yam that used to be. They used to call it yu mamba. And yu mamba was a type of yam that needed a lot of, manpower to plant it.
Two more minutes down for me. Sorry about that. We have 2 more minutes to go on your part, please. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just kind of like struggling to say that there are basics that we can begin from to get to some of the sophistications that we are talking about. Even the fertilizer that we have introduced, how much are we controlling to make sure that the fertilizer is not creating more harm on top of the good that it is giving us. If the crickets have disappeared, if tachi have disappeared, maybe it has something to do with the fertilizer. And if the tachis that are more visible are disappearing, maybe there's also something in the soil that is disappearing as a result of our uncontrolled use of fertilizers.
All right, so we, Tom, for me,
Yeah,
sorry about that. We can get one of our speakers maybe react to your question, and then we'll get to different other questions as we may have to give just a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes for each person to ask their question. We get to the panelists and they will be able to answer the questions. Any panelist can answer that question. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know what I was asking a question. Maybe let me ask a question. Can the panelists help us as to why some of our food items have disappeared, and we don't seem to be concerned about the fact that they have disappeared? And can the panelists help us to understand why the use of fertilizer seems not to be controlled when that use may itself be creating a future problem for us in terms of crop yield? Because Professor Njila did talk of shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation, I think, used to be possible in the past because one person or one family had more than two farm plots, but presently they seem to have only one or two plots, and that makes it difficult for them to maintain the old practice of shifting cultivation, if I may understand that. And what is it that we are talking?
Sorry, Tom, for me. I'm so sorry. We have to get to other speakers. So if we have any panelists can attempt that question, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I shouldn't ask another.
No, you will ask.
And for me, we exhaust your VA.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you for the time given.
All right. Thank you, Tam, for coming. So, Bane, were you expecting that somebody should at least make a quick reaction to what Tam?
Yes, certainly the panelists. Yeah,
yes.
any of the panelists. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Dr. Njila, well, it's a but you mute.
You know, I was thinking so too.
Thank you. Yeah, Professor Angela is still mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, Barry.
Okay, very bad say. In fact, Madam Miss Point Master presented because Madam Diano Rose. If I'm very interested, are you the crops that are disappearing and whether they are disappearing because of climate change or because of anthropogenic or mass activities? Melane Adukula ayen crops like Bambaran granules. If it disappear, my friend Dr. Richard Munang worked on the disappearance due to climate change of Bambaran granule. That's what he did his PhD on. Before I contributed to it, and he was very happy about it. That one is going. Birang Matu is also disappearing. In fact, the last time I was in Ndu, I bought 12 pots for 25 francs. They were putting on a trays. When I counted, there were 12 for 25 francs, but they're all disappearing. Ngui is disappearing. You remember, as my teacher, Jean Clement Jongala, AC disappear from. Because I use of younger fertilizers and insecticides. It was one of where Melanie cricket video, touchy video. We got to see disappear, but I'm fertilizer CEO say, but same about insecticide. Melana can the whole day, see my year, that is a bee or a butterfly in Yaoundé here. We have done it. They have all disappeared too because of mass activities. You remember, why is it disappearing? I didn't attribute China to climate change. Why? In 1948, Ofa in Sugu, if Ashakwe, But it's when I would farm you remember every day, every year. No. The problem is they are also overuse God. They overuse God are ever impossible for the same crop to be to multiply because they themselves are like you remember are high consumers. So at the main thing in make ayo, but so you burden, but say suggest see because I should have back yeah must make regenerate fertility in to the soil. Very say.
All right, very good, Prof. And we'll give clarification on that. So Melone c'est about let me just keep it to the topic for today. Georgia, very broad topic. You see, have handled for a very long time. You've almost inexhaustible. Georgia education, you never about ongoing. So we think in the limit how we want to encourage our dear men to the women
exactly.
and agriculture to the next level. This will manage the So we also want to hear from Dr. Richard Ndi. Welcome, sir.
He's
you'd like to unmute him, please.
Okay, just one moment. Is he unmuted or not? No.
He just immediately asked him.
Yeah, you can unmute.
All right, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I have followed the discussions very closely. I want to appreciate Dr. Ngwanyam, whom I know very much, whom we've interacted very much. I want to appreciate my big, that is Dr. Njila. I want to appreciate the person who talked about transformation, adding value. I just want to say something, which is something which has been bothering me, because we seem to give agriculture, we give it a poverty face, we give it an illiteracy face, yet we want to harvest from it. How do we make it attractive? Somebody asked the question, how do we make agriculture sexy? That's what somebody said. Because if it's not attractive, nobody goes there. But the impression, the image we have at the home about agriculture, we need that a transformation of the way we look at agriculture. And I think two panelists were bringing some of these ideas together, especially the person who talked about transformation. Transformation is giving it, it's making it attractive. Because if you, primarily, we have our corn, if we transform it into something, it makes it attractive. But we have those businessmen who know that we have this product called corn in our area, and they can invest, they can come invest in it. Do we have a market where if that investment is done, we would sell it? So these are things that will make agriculture more attractive. In fact, I witnessed a situation in Bamenda where somebody drove a van in the morning, early in the morning, with vegetables, just vegetable jamso. And the buyer and sellers were fighting. That is hot money. They were fighting over it because there is money in it. Do we have that market where we can attract people? Our people really, because if I work and then I cannot market, it would also, we have what you call post-harvest losses. We might also get into that. So it's a whole chain. We need to, we have people at the base, but we don't have people at transformation. We don't have a good market. How do we promote those aspects, those second and third chain to what we are trying to talk about? So there are a lot of questions around there, but I want us to make agriculture attractive, to look more appealing. Maybe men, men love what is appealing. Maybe they would be more attracted when it's appealing, when it looks good, when it looks positive. But the impression I have is that we've given it a poverty kind of face. We've given it an illiteracy, people who have failed, who go into agriculture and all of that. We need to change our mentality about agriculture, and then maybe other things would fall in line. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so
my
much.
colleague, before I want to make up more after the on. I needed a couple of themes are tying together and to back to what Parmanjon asked and to what Dr. Ngwanyam said about the challenge to men to be involved. I think he made a comment that coffee was not always a cash crop. and what made it so. And I had made also in my own summation, and what Mayu said in her prelude, is that the men, at least they know that corn flour, corn and beans and stuff like that are no longer just food crops, because they've seen the revenue that comes from corn. I think in the last couple of years alone, the price of bucket of corn in Ndu and beans was extremely high, because talk to people there. And I want to challenge maybe Dr. Ndi that farming is not universally known to be like a poor man, because I've seen Mbum men, when they leave and go to places like Bafia, right, or even in Taba next to us in Mbok Plain, when they go there, they will work on the farms. But when they come to the villages, they don't. So it's something to do with that pride that Dr. Wanyam talked about, because I don't think they are unaware that what used to be called food crops can now be cash crops. Because when they go out of Mbumland, they engage in farming. And when they're back in Mbumland, they don't. So is it that pride thing as well? And what do we do to dissuade them from thinking that you're less of a man if you are seen working on the farm with your wife in your village? So we need to get to that, because they do involve in farming when they get out of Mbumland, at least in my observation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mangiri. Let's start here for a minute, and if there's need, we do a quick interpretation, so we can take these snippets out and circulate for our people to hear. I'm a bit bothered or worried when we say our men are proud, they're arrogant. On the one hand, I'd rather believe that it's more ignorance. Or believe so I think that it's more of what the gap here is that of education. How much education are we giving our men? And you work far, even those who are based back home. Because even teenage boys and girls to young adults. By teenage girl and a young adults then move on tabor or do no shamanta. But I went to school, part of my secondary school in a place called near Bamenda called Balinyonga. Okay, so 2 times in a year. So you have what they call Nkonvi, that is the dry season corn, even much better than the rainy season one. Nkonvi, no male stays at home. They work even harder than the females. And so they work what they call a job. They work and then they pay them and then they cultivate their crops and then they sell and exchange it for money. And so you don't see them go penniless like our young men would do back home. So it's just, I think it's more gap of education and not necessarily arrogance, because they are really acting in ignorance. So Dr. Luanga about a mindset, change of mindset. And then the attitude to change, the need to change the attitude. So I don't know, maybe it's become a clarification. If maybe Dr. Luanga or Prof, we will get that contribution, Mangiri, maybe you do that interpretation again for us so that we try to see how it gets to the grassroots.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let me just jump in 1 second. Before we come to the interpretation, there's one person who had been wishing to speak very much. I think it's John Tangwarong. I'm not sure if John Tangwarong, please let us know if you're on board. And then once John Tangwarong speaks, there is also Ernangwai, who has been waiting to ask a question, maybe make a contribution. So we'll go through that. John Tangwarong, Ernangwai, then there's also Fabian, and then Madame Tani. So we'll go in that line. Please, if you have a question, we'll be giving you a couple of minutes, maybe just to ask or to make your contributions. And if the panelists may like to come in, jump in at any time, and they too may require to take little time to respond to our questions so that we can accommodate as many questions and responses as possible. So John Tamaro, if you're on board, please, over to you. Not sure if he is there. Okay, Bane, you're on board. The next person in line was Fabian, Dr. Fabian. Over to you, please. 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, am I audible, please?
Yes, you are.
Yes, we can hear you.
Bere Mbum dosi kuntombi anje de siro nane bere say me lori ba 2 minutes ka te bigorobo yi amfe fon me ko turba bubar bipshe siaga enje njo fam su kula mwelo turmu bo nsuje fa mbo je fa mbo je then ka ambam bi me ko ya mbo ya ma ya ta we ofa nen kerso ava ba se nem jivi yang se avne to na yuku jerme min jina na su ba mana ade si now winning shina ba nje ka njo meyone America right now melo do moto do ad mo yambo yu nwe mo sis ifa an tractor ade inyang a vast majority of Mbum people nebjiana e ga focus na fa kwa ye wete fie ne do ye de kwa na ke ado amiga but we got land okay abi ja ne tractor in the community nebo fa wa ade e jelle sitter vast lands and a function de si fale then we should consider ne abo Dr. Njila Abalane, Professor Njila Abalane offer then su got some fertilizers and all of that or then su some okay they can produce ka enjoy the soil nutrients iyo ye ne ka bane ade offer fimbo na nje keke biodo fies in the boat nsuba outside of Mbum fa are add value to it le image moya ya second question ababa nje ne welo yambo mamingwa konti o bangwa konti afa bjine denbe o eversar bepsi juyam la edo loan suse ne bad shinem beker ba foka ona beker baga shishe affect this second farming in the season sisi lana can we fa ba ware ebe fa te yom eve yi we ma shi yom ne bo ja we me fa ya warmina ne bo ja me we ma shi mbu yo trespasser ba ji ya warmina a discouragement ne oban me ke tura la wene binka am yansu sha yom lot have mid ya iga bawa mfola nwang bam chefu abua na te yom fongbo yi kwingerete mfa yansu munyanke ade si address problem anje kete able encourage be alpha msuana mfe ba nerfele berry.
Yeah, so over to you, the panelists, before we get Ed Nangwai on board.
Yes.
Either of the panelists can always jump in to respond to our questions. Maybe Prof. Njila, maybe Dr. Mwanya, maybe Dr. Luanga.
Okay, are you getting me?
Yes.
Yes.
5 on 5.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Fabian, you have asked the same question that Dr. Yengi asked, that the topography is so rugged. How do we use, how do you practice mechanized farming? It is very easy. We now have small agricultural tools that you can handle, your mother, your grandmother can handle and hold the farm without, going to that, be very extensive. That one is very, very useful. If I give you an example, we are planting plantains in Yaoundé, and I'm able to, with a small tool of that nature, drill 2,000 holes per day. 2,000. If a single person cannot drill 50 holes per day. So we are using those small machines, even to plant corn. Those ones exist because we really come from this highly volcanic terrain, rugged. We need to use those hand tools, these small mechanized hand tools. Some of them use petrol. Others are just you don't need, just use muscle power, and it goes. That's the first thing that I think that we can do. And then we can add value. If you go to Mbumland now, they don't play. Women don't play with when they sweep their houses. They put all the dirt in a basket to take it right to the farm. You cannot come and take the dirt from somebody's compound because they want to go and fertilize their farms. I think that's it. We are now in a period of reawakening. When I was in about 8 years ago, 2016, I saw something that really amazed me. What did I see? You know, we were eating good meat. All of us know where we eat good meat in Do. And then around 10 o'clock, these boys who are, driving bikes, at that time there are no passengers. So all of them were coming and taking two pieces of meat and fufu corn. I asked, where are you going to? They said they're going to the farm. They're going to the farm. It was around May, June. So I saw that these young men are now have started. The image is not as bad as we had in the past. I want to tell you that in my own quarter, as of last week, 8 men, have been found accompanying their wives to a farm. But last year, we had only 1 or 2 who used to do that. So there's progress. We can only encourage and sensitize the population. Unfortunately, the area has become a no-go area. I don't know what method we use. We have to use a method to sensitize the men so that they accompany their wives. I thank Dr. Ngwanyam for last year. He introduced wheat and oats, where he bought 1 ton of wheat and sent to all the subdivisions of Donga Mantung. Because that product was for free, I don't know how many kilograms were planted in one subdivision in Akko, but in 2 subdivisions, we planted a lot and got seeds from there that we're going to plant this year. That is an encouragement to the men. Even the men can use can do fruit tree planting, like a planting of apples that have just come in, and the apples are so fresh and juicy. We didn't know that apples could grow here. So we encourage men to do, even if they don't want to accompany their women, they should, but why should they not accompany their women? It's important. Thank you. That's all I can contribute for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. There is also Edna Ngwayi. Madam Edna, please, over to you. Before you go on, there is Dr. Ngwanyam who will be speaking right now. Just give me 1 second over my phone. I guess we're going to listen to him. Go ahead, Doctor.
I was saying that the coming of the ring road is a watershed in our lives. So what went before and what is going to come after the ring road might be before the ring road didn't have the incentives to do a lot of work, because, like even when we had the food to sell, it was not easy. When you went home and you wanted to bring home even just 1 bag of potato or yams back into the city, it was always a problem because of poor transportation. Now, the problem of transportation is being solved, and that changes the dynamics altogether, which means that the little that we have been producing at the level, or that level of production with the roads, is going to go so fast that we'll actually end. Therefore, we have to step up our production, teach everybody and show them that, the ring road is a blessing. And this is where we need to now come in with the resources. The elites, you and I talking on Zoom now, everybody out there, we need to actually go back with the resources to the village and help the people in the village. Without those resources coming in, they will never get up. One of the things that we need to do is to find out. We don't have to start with with so many tractors. Might be just 1 tractor the council area. How can we work with the mayors to have that caterpillar, make that the caterpillar area, the tractor a reality? How can we help our people to have seeds, let's say like the cassava? I'm sure we talked to the mayor of Mukulah. He's grown some of that high-yielding cassava down in the Mortland, and I'm sure he will soon be sharing out some of the cuttings again for people to continue to multiply. So it must be intentional. What we are doing must be intentional, and we have to push this forward. That said, another thing that I want to mention was water conservation. If you go on YouTube and check how people change the desert or the dry environment in India and some other places like that to very productive places, they had a technique where they would create artificial dams along dry river beds, so that when the rains come, you know, these dams, artificial dams all over the whole place, you know, even over gullies and so on. They will pour the water and check the water, so that as the water is standing there, it seeps into the ground, and this raises the water table. And once you do this, you can plant some of these kind of trees, plant a lot of grass and so on, which will change the ecosystem and will make it, you know, number one, the water will be there so that the soil is not as dry. Number two, the organic matter in the soil will increase, the tree cover will increase, the bees will increase, and so on. So these are some of the things that we need to do to change our level of production. We just have to continue to encourage those men, those young men that are participating in agriculture now. We need to do videos of them and show people that this is the way to go. Go to other villages in Bali, in Dob, in Bansor, you know, take pictures of young men working together and so on. And to flood our people with this kind of thing, it will change their mindset. And probably we should also give a prize, kind of like put out a prize there for young men who are engaged in agriculture. With that said, before I give back the microphone, you know, when we're talking about tractors, there are small handheld tractors that can work on slopes. That can work on slopes. That can we can all the level lands, even though we might have hilly areas, but all the flat lands that we have, if we can use machines to do that, and then probably do the hand labor on the slopes, that would already be something. As long as we can take out the back-breaking killing job from the agriculture, that's going to increase our production by more than 70%. It is that back-breaking killing thing with the hoe that keeps people away from agriculture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. We'll get to Madam Gwai Erna. Please, 2 minutes for you, Madam Erna.
So, my chatting when me platform tini. I'm a Erna Gwai Muminshwa ni baraki.
Yeah, please. I just want to recall that this is the chairperson for Mukulah Canada speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle P. So, the talk of today has been very, very enriching. So if we take from Dr. Njila to Dr. Ngwanyam to Dr. Nchari, we see that their talks were kind of organized into like primarily what we need to do, in the secondary stage what we need to do, and in the tertiary what we need to do. And this has really answered a question that has been tormenting me for a long time. Like, why is it that agriculture in every other place is a great source of income, but in my own area, in Kola, it is not? So this has been very, very enriching. And that is why for this year, I am theming the AGM in Canada as Mbum. Who are we? How can we use the things that we have to promote ourselves? So from what we have today, this is very enriching, but and we do nothing to follow up about it, it will be useless. So my little suggestions, I don't know if they would be of use, is that how can we get to educate our people with all of this knowledge that we have, to see that we have Dr. Ngwanyam, Dr. Njila, and Dr. Nchari. This is our own knowledge. How can we now impart it to our people? When I was growing up in the village, when they want to educate the community, for education, can we reinvent that so that everybody goes to the palace or wherever they are going, community hall, and we teach our people some of these farming techniques that they can use to improve our economy, to stop the rural exodus that we have, which is more detrimental to us than it's helping us. Can we introduce some of those things? Can we start teaching our people shifting cultivation and cross cultivation again, so that agriculture can can be more productive for us? Can we promote the use of cooperatives? We have, in those days, I know there was the marketing board Chamchi used to set up prices for food. Can we reintroduce those things? We have Kambe Central that is very close to Nigeria and has a large market. Can we do those things to help our people in Kambe Central, Ndu Central, introduce those large markets such that Siaba implement all of these things that we've just discussed on the platform today? It will be more helpful to our people. If they can see that they are working on the farms, it is generating some income for them and it's advancing their families. I think it will not be a thing of forcing the men to go to the farms, but they would join the women willingly if they can see that there is an end to it. Can we do some of these things to help our people? So, Major, my question is, how do we impart this knowledge? How do we teach our people about these great farming techniques that we've discussed today so that we can continue to use it and improve our area?
Yeah, thanks so much, Madam Anna. Before we hand the floor to the panelists to attempt or to give an answer to that, it has just come to mind, and I think that the organization, this platform, has identified a resource person who will come up with a team to implement everything that will be discussed today. And well, the Frenchman says curieusement, this resource person is right amongst us here, Dr. Luanga. He will be heading a team which will be composed by he himself and probably any good willing other resource persons will put their hands and heads together to see how to educate our people and implement some of the ideas that we have learned and we will learn today. Well, again, before probably we just give a chance to Madame DeConta to come in, and then the speakers will take her intervention or questions as well as your question. Madame DeConta, over to you. Then Madame Dani should get ready. Thank you. Is Madame DeConta there? I saw the hand up. I think we saw Madame DeConta's hand. She raised the hand. Madame DeConta, is she available? I think so. Yeah, Madame Alice DeConta, right?
Maybe she stepped away. Kavani stepped away some far.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Back to her.
Right. So definitely we will take Madame Tani, and after Madame Tani, we'll have Mr. John Tangwaro. Madame Tani, over to you. Madame Tani, you are muted. Madame Tani, you can unmute. Oh, unmute, and then we can hear you. Yes, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. It's been really enriching. And like you keep insisting, Mr. Host, that it is a learning process, meaning we're sharing knowledge and I hope we're sharing experiences too. I'm sorry, my phone just froze. The internet gave a few problems when I was trying to round up with my prelude in the beginning, but most of my concerns were answered. That said, I'm going to follow up on the heels of the issues, the concerns raised by the president of Mukulah, Canada, saying, what's the way forward? And I have 3 quick comments. I won't be very long, Mr. Host. Don't worry. My first thing is taking note of the challenges each of the presenters brought up. I'll start with Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, that I have known for 50 years and going, a very serious guy. He says there is a need for a change in the mindset. My own question would be, how do we change the mindset of our people? Is it through advocacy? Is it through gathering them together in Warong houses, non-Warong, I'm sorry, in full houses and in shah houses and telling them? So practical modalities about how to change their mindset so that they move away from what hitherto has been subsistence farming that timidly is becoming a source of revenue for households, to what we are now seeing and calling agribusiness, that agriculture becomes a real business that brings in income to the families, both at home and out of the house. So as we're talking about challenges, I'll mention a few, and I'm talking this time as an agribusiness promoter. I'll share a little bit of my experience in 2 sentences on the way. We have the issue of land. Somebody mentioned it. Our families all have the little pieces of land behind the house that our mothers, our great-grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers left for us. Do we have enough extensive land, pieces of land, on which we can practice agribusiness? If we don't have big pieces of land, 1 hectare, 2 hectares, 10 hectares, 20 hectares and more, then we might have to do intensive agriculture, meaning we need those machines and all of the artificial things that make much crops to be grown on a small piece of land. So land is an issue. Now, we want to do this agriculture, and like I think it's Dr. Manjong said, one of them said their parents' backs are already paining. So the old people are phasing out. Are we able to bring the young people to buy into our vision of agribusiness in Mbum land? Are we doing that? Because those are the people we're relying on. So the human resource necessary. Do we have the material resources necessary? There, Dr. Luanga, again, Dr. Nchari, excuse me, showed us very simple machines that can be used for the first level of transformation, the second level of transformation. The little things, again, that you can help with branding of your products. Do we have the material resources we need for agribusiness the way it should be, even at that little level in the village? I'm going to go now to financial resources. There is nothing that's going to work in any business without financial resources. Do we have the financial resources that are necessary? Usually, like Dr. Chari said, again, I followed them closely. You don't need hundreds of millions. You might not even need $1 million. And trust me, those women in the village, in their little jaggies, have resources. Do they know that they can transform those financial resources into something that would help them change the level of their crops, add value to it, and so get more money? So yes, this platform is going to teach people a lot of things, but we should see how we address some of those kinds of challenges before taking them down there. Next, what if for now we still don't have large pieces of land? I am looking at the possibility of alternative agribusiness ideas. Let me take 2 simple ones. This board that we used to eat when I was young, I was in Binka. I am from Binka, from Gotang itself. We used to go out early in the morning to fruit bog. We know bog, and we'll bring it home, and that's what Mama will put a little bit of salt and oil, and the whole family will eat bar that day with bog.
2 more minutes.
This day and time, and with yes, sir. Sorry, I get very passionate when I'm talking about agriculture. I'm sorry, sir. I won't take long. They can grow this behind the houses. Those women in the village grow, but you dry it, you can eat it later. Now, last thing that I said, I have been a grower, one of those producers of corn seeds in Luz in Dongamantu. I cannot tell you how much money that gave me. And lastly, if you know the resources that are available from the public policy we have an agricultural school in Kambe. How are we using it? We have the possibility of getting tractors free if you people cultivate a certain surface area of land. If we know some of these things, why don't we go get them? And then we look for what we don't have. Sorry, I get very passionate when it comes to agriculture, agribusiness, value chain, and those kinds of things. Thank you again, people.
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Ngwanyam wants to react to that. Just give Dr. Ngwanyam, just hold on one moment, please. Yes, doctor, go ahead. I guess this should be, hello, doctor? Hold on one second. Just a moment. Yeah. Can you?
Very closely to Madam
Bianyo. Right. One second, doctor. 1 second, doctor. Can we all hear get doctor speaking?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Go ahead, doctor.
I was listening very closely to what she was saying. And one issue that she raised that is making me to kind of like take the microphone is the issue of land. And we have to change the way it's about strategy. You know, you have to change strategies. And I had this tragedy with me many years ago before the war broke out. You know, with the St. Louis and Do, I had gone down to the board plane and I negotiated for 300 hectares of land. And I was thinking, how do we make it work? And this is what I had in my mind. So we can use this template. We go to places where there is land like Bo. We can either buy and own it or rent it or somehow or whatever. Because as you know, a lot of people are going down there from everywhere and getting land. So we can all go down there, get a lot of swaths of land, and then we prepare this land with the tractors, with the machines and so on. Then imagine that you till all the land, you provide the planting material and whatever farm chemicals that are needed. Then you share out maybe 1 or 2 hectares per young man, 1 or 2 hectares per young man that has left the Mbum land and gone down there where you have built residences for them where they can come and stay. When you have tilled the land, I hope that's how it is pronounced. When you have cultivated the land, provided the planting material, and done everything, and then of course don't forget planting seeds, grains. Now you also use machine to plant, so it's not like they'll be using a cutlass to plant. So you do all this heavy stuff for them, and all what they have to do is probably use the smaller tools to weed, because planting now, you plant in rows. You don't just plant haphazardly. You plant in rows so that with little tools, little machines you can go through and then weed and whatever. So they are only there to look after the crops, and then they harvest the crops, and then we have cooperatives and we buy these stuff off them. So it's about organizing. We can organize how this happens. We can a lot of things can happen on the ground if we just have the right strategies. So it's about strategy.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Now we'll listen to Madam Alice Ndikonta. Please, Madam Alice, you can unmute and go ahead, please. Thank you.
I would like to thank the moderator very much for giving me the floor. I really appreciate all the speakers, Dr. Ngwanyam, Dr. Njila, and Dr. Nchari. In fact, I'm really pleased that I was part of this discussion today. Talking about the issue of men from our area not working or assisting the women, I think that the first thing we have to do before thinking of any strategy would be to look at maybe some kind of a study or a questionnaire to try to find out from the men, what is it that they don't assist their wives in the farms. We try to find out because there might be some reason, so that in order to solve the problem, we need to know the cause of the problem. And then the next thing, there are many activities, like you have various crops.
You have 2 more minutes.
Sorry, I have a problem with the network. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So I was saying that when we do that and we identify the problem, the next thing will be to sensitize the men and the women. Try to find out from them, are there particular crops that the men are interested in? Or what are the activities that the men are particularly interested in, and the women? It is from there that we can pick up. I know there is also this problem of land in the village. I remember Dr. Njila talked about sustainable farming methods. If we have to do like shifting cultivation and all of that, I think the land too is a problem. So those are some of the issues that we have to look into it. And then sensitizing or training the farmers. We know that like the Ministry of Agriculture, we have agri post, we have extension workers. It's just unfortunate that for the moment in our area, it may be a bit difficult having them, but they are there. I think working with the ministry, it's going to be very helpful. You have organizations, you have common initiative groups and cooperatives. Right now, I work with the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, as a consultant. What we do when we go to an area, if there's any funding or any project, we work with the organizations. We don't work with individuals, or we work through the Ministry of Agriculture. And generally, they work with groups. And we encourage farmer field schools. So I think that if we can identify the problem, identify the needs of our people, and associate with the Ministry of Agriculture, there's a lot that we can do. So this is just a contribution that I have to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Komi Mangiri, over to you.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much. Before I go on, I think, I don't know whether this is meant to be for us to round up, because I still see another hand up from the Apple Revolution.
Yes, Apple Revolution, even, I'm not sure.
Later for Miss back on, hand on.
Sure. And then we can round up definitely thereafter. Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to give the opportunity to the Apple Revolution to speak before I get back, because he hasn't spoken yet, he or she.
Yeah. That's right.
So can he be unmuted, please?
All right. I am happy. What I have to contribute is that you know, certain panelists asked a question concerning the farmer-grazer conflict, or when you farm your cowpea, goats come and feed on it, because that one is very typical in the village. So that question was not actually handled. I actually did not get the answer. And again, we have a diaspora. The truth is that a place cannot develop without the diasporans taking the forefront. And I'm glad that the Mbum diasporans have always been there to see that they help. And on the other part, the youth are not always ready and sincere enough to be giving this trial on maybe empowering them in agribusiness. I remember when we are pushing on with this phenomenon on the ground, there are still people that when they contact us to go to their farmlands to go and check, they still want to use us and dump. Because I think I work with some diasporans, and at the end of the day, they want you to be calling them, they want to turn you into something else, which that one is not actually the best. I don't want to call them, but I believe that as this gesture proceeds, they will actually exit themselves as time goes on. And again, if we must consider making this huge development in Mbum land, we must actually try to target the problem with accessing land, because most of these farmlands, you know, with this shifting cultivation, and most of our parental lands are already out of fertility. So if we want to do this pragmatically, we must make sure that we have a kind of strategic dialogue with our brothers, our Fulani brothers, and try to build consensus so that we can be able to explore the lands. You know, jungle tax alone is not able to be used to balance up maybe to balance up maybe some benefit that can be generated from agribusiness. So that one is the fact that we are on the ground, we have done feasibility work, and we can be able to authoritatively say that borrowers, they have occupied more land, more than what the economic contribution to the global economy and the GDP of Cameroon. So these are the only things, and we are venturing, just like my daddy said, that there are other crops that are disappearing, there are other new ones that are coming up. We must leverage on the ones that can actually add value to climate change, can bring good food, can bring abundance of food, and can also bring healthy food. Thank you very much. That's the least I have to say for now. As time goes on, we'll be.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. I just wanted to ask a question. I've been seeing some apple farms from Kumbo. Your name says Apple Revolution. Are you the one that is growing those apples? I've seen it on Facebook or social media. Can you hear me? The Apple Revolution. Wow, that's really, really great. I'm very impressed. I'm going to follow that up. But you touched on a lot of things that sometimes we are here as a learning platform. We may raise awareness of issues. We may bring certain things up and educate people, but most often than not, we don't have the resources nor the bandwidth to, address every problem that comes up, but we take note of it, and that can be the beginning of a conversation. I think the farmer gracer issue that has been brought up and you've also touched on is one that is probably bigger than us. And there are other avenues that are countering that. And it's good that that has been highlighted as one of the issues. And you have also talked on certain things that maybe dialogue with our neighbors can actually resolve some of that, so that some of those grazing land can be converted to farmland. But I think it's one of the aspects that is just beyond the scope of what we can even talk about. And if you notice, that's why neither the panelists nor any of us here actually ventured to touch on that. But thank you so much.
Yeah, that's true. Just before you continue, I just want to give a point on that. We are so glad to have the Apple Revolution. And as a matter of fact, the resource persons have been contacted already to talk about the cow grazing and crops and the Mbum and the Mbororo people. That will come in the next 3 months, so to say. And one of the resource persons we've contacted who is in the field is Dr. Andrew Walters, I think so. I may not know them personally, but that's his specialty. And so we are looking forward to getting to that topic. And I'm so sure that it will be something you should be part of it. I'm sorry, Mangiri, go ahead.
That's okay. No, thank you so much. I just saw that another name came up from somebody who hadn't spoken before, in charge of Waters. And I wonder would you have a couple of minutes for him to speak?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here to learn as well and to share the little I have in mind as well. So I must apologize that I came in a little late. I tried to join earlier, but I couldn't for technical issues, but I'm glad that I was able to join again. I've listened to some of the speakers, and I just want to come in with some practical ways in which we can actually improve and elevate our agricultural output in Mbum land. The first practical way is coming as a question as well. We've talked a lot about economizing or trying to make agriculture go bigger, but we've not asked ourselves if what we grow is sufficient for those who are back home to feed on. So one of the practical ways I was thinking of is small projects, very small, maybe rearing of pigs and creating small poultry farms and the rest. I don't know if somebody talked about before, but if we could also do this and support, because I'm speaking from the United Arab Emirates, I'm based in Abu Dhabi and I'm from Bot. And these are things that I personally have been looking at, and I also want to really go into it and see how it goes, because with this, somebody who wants to buy fowls will not have to go to Ndu, to Nkambe, to other distant places to do it. If you do it in some villages, people can actually just do that. And I want to also add my voice to that of Apple Revolution, that he is practically doing something on the ground. So if people could venture into this and create associations, as somebody spoke before, it will really be good, because when people want to assist, they go with groups and not only individuals, because with groups you are sure and you can actually, it reduces the fear in you. So we encourage those back home to create associations and groups that they work with, and equally to make good use of the school, the agricultural school in Kambe, as somebody mentioned before. So I just want to emphasize on the fact that what we should do more is the practical aspects, because when we talk without venturing into it and trying something out, we cannot actually know what is going on in the field. So thank you very much for the time.
Walters, I really appreciate it. I'm happy you got the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to make a little comment that, yes, when you're doing farming, you ask the question whether there's enough to eat first before talking about selling. But I think what we're driving at in everything that the speakers have said is, even if you get both the men and women engaged in farming, that also contributes to the amount that gets eaten. And if you do have surpluses, that can become a cash crop. And if you add value by processing it, you even get more. So I think it's a continuum from whether our parents typically were growing crops for us to consume, but now we're saying that it can also become a cash crop if more of all of us are involved in it, and if we process it so that we don't only have the raw materials, but process. So I think we're all in line with that. And again, thank you so much for adding this idea of forming small unions or groups to improve the farming. Thank you. Time for me, Dimanja.
Yeah, I guess what I have as my question, because mine has to go as questions, is this. When we are talking about the men and the women and second crop, for example, are we aware of the fact that the men consider good rearing as their own preoccupation? And if we do, presently the women are not allowed to handle the mischief caused by goats as they used to do before. So are we aware that the goats that men rear and the way they rear them are an impediment to the second crop thing that we were suggesting? So it's not really that the women do not know how to grow second crops, but they are inhibited by the fact that when it's time for a second crop, the men already release their goats to roam about freely. And that is incompatible with the second crop that we are suggesting. So are we aware of that impediment? The men also consider that the eucalyptus that they grew is their own preoccupation. And are we aware that those eucalyptus, as were introduced to us, are an impediment to the water, either groundwater, that we need for our agriculture and whatever changes we are trying to advocate?
Thank you,
Those are my two questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm not going to take it away from the panelists because we're out of time. I'm just going to make one comment to the fact of rearing goats. My parents and everybody who grows up in the village knows that their parents rear goats and they go in the morning and tie them or they move them from one place to the other. The question is, what do they do for the rest of the day? If you plant the eucalyptus and they're growing, what else do you do? So that, I think that was a question that one of our panelists asked from the beginning. Are the men using their time efficiently? Because you can still do what you're doing and still be able to be productive the rest of the day. And then obviously, if the farm will be used to rear goats, the question then is, how many people are actually rearing goats in the village? Do we have a lot of young men that have goats that are used as cash crop? And the answer might be no. I think we're talking about complementarity. If these activities were going on, they were generating income, nobody would be forcing them to go into the farms and work. But I think that is also the challenge, that those activities are missing, and the men are not doing that anymore. So I'm not going to, we're not going to, you've raised that point, is great. We've heard it. We may not answer all of them today, but this is recorded and it's taken into account.
Well, you missed the questions.
Okay. It's recorded. That's a good thing. We can come back and play them.
The part that you miss is that good rearing in the village is not the way you are putting it. They do tether the goats for a given period, and then at a given period they release the goats and they roam around freely, and that is incompatible with the second crop that we are talking about. And the eucalyptus thing is not that it's all that the main thing that they are doing, but it is that in as much as the men continue to think that they can plant more eucalyptus as their own occupation, those eucalyptus have been found to be incompatible with maintaining groundwater, which we need for agriculture. So are we aware of that? And what will we be doing about those two issues? Because we can't just say, we can't just ask the women, forget about the men. We can't just ask the women to do second crop. And when it comes time for second crops, the goods are roaming all over the place. That's
Yes.
what I was
Now, for me,
noticing.
I appreciate that. I think maybe I didn't make myself. Thank you so much. I think Professor Njila also talked about he mentioned those resistant crops and eucalyptus that have also contributed to the drought in our area. I think he mentioned that. I think we have no more hands up. I don't know, but we will have to have the panelists to have some closing remarks. Or you have to say something, the panelists to speak before we come back, or what?
Yeah, maybe 1 minute each for the panelists just to for a word. And of course, Dr. Luanga maybe can just give us 1 or 2 minutes as well to tell us what he thinks he can do as heading the committee in charge of looking in more details into this and coming up with a plan of action. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the one thing I can say is the most difficult thing is the first step. That's the most difficult thing. And I think that whenever you want to do something, don't look too much at the hurdles. Otherwise, you will never take that first step. But look more at the opportunity. So I think we've talked about a lot of challenges here, challenges there. Let's look more at the opportunity. So I think what the committee would do is that we need to prioritize the opportunities, and then we need to cost them and see that, okay, is this opportunity feasible? You know, which one do we start with? You know, for example, we just showed the example of Sha, which is bottled. You know, some of us in diaspora, when you come home, you buy a bottle of Guinness, Cameroon Guinness, and you bring here. Why can't I buy a bottle of Sha and bring here? So I think these are the little things that you can do already. So that being said, when it comes to transformation, I'm happy to support anybody. Maybe some people have some private initiatives, but I think what is important is to have a community initiative. And also, like you saw in the case of Kenya and Mozambique, it is very important to have an association. Very, very important to have an association. It's easier to get some support. You know, it's one to all, not one to one. So I think I would end it there and say thank you very much for the opportunity. But of course, next steps and actions have to be done. So it will be good for us to know the timelines and when one has to be done. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Maybe I'll go to Dr. Ngwanyam. Closing remarks. Was able to speak?
Yes, so just give me 1 second, Dr. Ngwanyam will be right here for the closing remarks. Go ahead, Doctor.
Say that it was very enriching, and to promise Dr. Chari that as St. Louis will try to see how we can get a dehydrator. I'm waiting for the slides. You send the slides to me by WhatsApp or whatever, so I can go through them, and we'll start somewhere to see how we can get the tomato powder. I mean, there's a lot, but like they say, we must start somewhere and show practically that it works. Thank you very much. Yeah. We should all be committed to start somewhere, help somewhere. You know, I forgot to talk about the cassava. Please buy the improved cassava and send to your people. Everybody, we should preach this. Every elite should buy about 1,000 seeds of cassava and send to their relatives at home to plant. Everybody should do that because we talk a lot and we don't do very much. Please, everybody buy something, especially cassava seeds, this high yield cassava, and send to our people at home, so that there is a massive, change at once. When there's that massive change, then it becomes easy to put a factory to make gari and all those kind of things. So if we could all commit and say, everybody says, I'm buying a bag because a bag is 1,000 of those things. I'm buying a bag for my family. I'm buying a bag for my family. It will go a long way. We could talk like this, even if we are 2,000 of us on this platform. We talk, and if we do nothing, after 10 years, nothing will happen. But if we talk like this and start tomorrow to do what I'm saying, you will see the change. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Before you go, before I hand the mic again back to Mangiri, Doctor, so we are saying that we have two persons in this August committee, Dr. Ngwanyam and Dr. Luanga. Am I correct?
There's no problem. We'll create a WhatsApp group and then continue to discuss on it and then share our ideas. Yes, I'm very much into that.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Go ahead. Thank you. Mangiri, over to you.
No, thank you. I was just going to thank Dr. Ngwanyam and then hand over the mic to Professor Njila. Is he still on?
Yes, I think so.
Looks like Professor Njila is.
And he was on not long ago. I think I saw him not long ago.
So probably, anyway, since this is an ongoing conversation, I'm sure there will be other opportunities for him to continue that conversation. I just wanted to hand over the mic to my colleague, Comfort, to talk because, again, this has been such an enriching conversation. I want to thank you so much for handling this with me and to everybody else who has been on the moderator panel. So thank you. Comfort, back to you.
All right, thank you, Marguerite. Thank you, dear honorable people of Mbum. It's been really a great day indeed. And I think this was quality time well spent. We just call this a revolution of our own because I'm not sure if it's the right choice of word, but I think that from this, so much can be done. We just want to hold our hands together and keep it going. And we're looking forward to the committee being put to place and see what we can get from there. So let's keep this going. Let's take this to our platforms. And again, remember anybody who's active out there, like our sister Vera, let's do your part in the limbo, do what you can do, let anybody do something. And of course, we'll get there. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again really soon. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Brother P, back to you to put the final closing remarks.
Well, again, I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been here, the panelists, the moderators. I was so happy to see somebody jump in. Vera, it's as if I'm just seeing you. That's a great thing. I'm happy. And then happy birthday again, Mama Vera. So we will meet another time. It's been a great time. And we'll follow up at the level of the forum. So once again, we thank God for bringing us this far and for having such great speakers teach us a lot of things today. Thank you and bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.